Welcome everyone. My name is Beto Navarro. I started Friends of Figma 5 years ago in Miami. So I started remote in the middle of COVID. So for the last 2 years, we have been doing this presential, like with people. So it has been a great networking event for everyone, just to meet people. I heard one person that started working with another person that met in one of the events. So it has been great. And we're trying to do these spaces for you guys, right? To build community, for people to network, meet each other, and just make friends, right? You never know. So yeah, that's me, Beto Navarro. I currently am a senior product designer at Amazon. Then Jackie is the second person, but she is in Brazil, so she couldn't make it for the event. And she's actually a friend of mine, and she got into UX because of me. So I kind of like mentor her, and she transitioned to UX eventually. And then she said if she could collaborate with me on Friends of Figma. And then came Jonathan. Jonathan, present yourself.
Thank you, Beto. So I'm Jonathan. I currently work for DocuSign as a manager, and I've been working with Beto on these events. I think it's been 4 years. Very excited for everyone to be here, and it's also been pretty cool to see the industry here in Miami. Just slowly but surely grow. I know that right now the industry is a little shaky, but the fact that you all are here is a testament that people are looking for these types of events. So thanks again for being here. We just want to give a big shout out to our volunteers. Well, Beto and I technically volunteers as well. We don't get paid for this, but we have a volunteer group who helps us throw these events. So Sharon, I'm sure you saw her up front. So thank you, Sharon. Irene is right there. Thank you, Irene. And then Mayuri, she's over here taking photos.
Just a round of applause for them.
Round of applause for them. Thank you.
And aside from the volunteers, we are always looking for volunteers. So at the end of the event, we'll have some QR codes if you are interested. You can scan them, and it will lead you to a form if you're interested to help us to make these events happen. The more volunteers we have, the more events we can have. And then aside from that, to speakers, if there's, or you know anyone that would like to speak in one of the events, a QR code at the end. And we're looking for venues as well. So if you know of a cool space that would like to have these kind of events happen as well, feel free to reach out to us, because we're always looking for that. You can find us in social media. Jonathan is actually the person behind LinkedIn. So anything that happens in LinkedIn is his fault. Jackie, that is not here. Everything happens is on Instagram and Facebook on her. I don't touch social media, so it's not on me. But yeah, you can find us and follow up. And then, of course, if you sign up for Friends of Figma Miami group, when a new event happens, it will send you an email, right? So you know that event happens soon. And we try to do this every quarter. So that's kind of like the cadence of the events that we're trying to do.
Yeah, just like Beto said. And if it's your first time hearing about Friends of Figma, we just wanted to let you know that we are part of a global network of chapters. So there's chapters virtually in every big city. So Tokyo, New York, San Francisco. So we are the Miami chapter. But there's also one in Orlando, right? And one in Orlando, right? So there's a couple here in Florida. So definitely go online, friendsofigma.com, search, and of course /Miami. That's us. So yeah, and I want to give a shout out to a Friends of Figma leader. We're here. Her name is Elena. She runs the Friends of Figma remote workers. So she's a remote worker, nomad, right? She works from Europe and sometimes here in Miami, etc., everywhere. So anyway, so if you want to know more about that, please reach out to Elena. She's visiting us from Spain. You want to talk about our partners?
Yeah, it's a community, right? So we just try to promote whatever happens in the community. So if you're interested, Fluxia is a Slack group. So a lot of people are in that Slack group, and they just share anything, portfolios, jobs, opportunities. So feel free to join if you're interested. That's probably the oldest group here in South Florida. And then Product People Meet is a networking event. It's paid. It's not free, but if you're interested in meeting other type of people like product managers, developers, founders, etc., feel free to check them out.
Sounds good.
And yeah, Config is coming. Jonathan is going to Config. We went last year. It was a great experience. So if you are going, just contact Jonathan and some of the people here because you guys are going. So it's a really, really cool event.
Yeah, there's a couple of us going in San Francisco. I know there's one also in London. Somebody mentioned that they work from Europe here as well. So yeah, just in case you're interested, the conference is in May 6th and 8th. Last year we went, a couple of us, as you can see here, such a fun event. You get to meet thousands and thousands of designers from all over the world, right? So it's a really cool experience. If you get a chance to do it, definitely go for it.
Yeah, and just to say, the hub provided the drinks and of course the space that you're now at. So very cool space.
Hi, everybody. My name is Michael Anthony. You can call me Mikey, but I'm here representing the hub. When I first came here, it's the feeling that you get when you come here that makes it so special. It's very collaborative. It puts community at the center. It doesn't matter who you're talking to when you come in here. They're going to get to know you, find out what you're doing, and then introduce you to someone else here that can probably help you with your problem. And that's the culture that comes from Noelle and like her experiences being a founder, being an entrepreneur, and having every obstacle imaginable being thrown at her and overcoming every single one and continuing to move forward. So she's an inspiration to all of us. This place is a special place and will continue to be an amazing place in Miami as Miami continues to grow. This hub, this innovation center will grow with it and will lead the change into what the future of Miami is going to be. Yeah, it's kind of like a co-working space in the way that it operates, but it's truly an innovation center in the way that we're bringing new technology and bringing people together, solving problems. You have a variety of businesses that are here. We have a workshop room in the back, a podcast room in the back as well, conference rooms throughout that you can use. You can rent them out independently without being a member, so you can still use the resources that are here. If you are a member, you do get a discount. The offices that are surrounding the hub, those are all different business. There's a good variety of businesses. You can pretty much find it. It's really a safe place to come and connect. And if you spent time in Miami, you'll know that it's a bit of a challenge sometimes finding good people and good people to work with and solve your problems and move forward with your business. I like for you to think of the hub as that safe place, a good place to come, bring your friends, connect with people, solve your problems, and build the solutions of the future from here. Thank you for being here today. I hope that you tell a friend about this place. I hope that you come back and you bring more. Really build this place ourselves, right? We don't do there's not a high budget. This isn't some big corporation. It's not a ton of marketing dollars and that sort of thing. It's really built by the people. And those people are you. So thank you for being here. If you have any questions, you can ask me.
Let's give it a round of applause for Mikey. Thank you. Juno and I go way back. No, I'm joking. No, I met Juno actually only a few years ago, but I think ever since we met, we had a cool connection. Amazing human, but also very talented designer. Tons of experience from his native Brazil, but also here in the States. He also is I don't know if you follow him online, but he has a nice following. He has a newsletter that he writes. Really great insights. So I'm honored to have him here today. It's the first time that that he's actually sharing some topic here in Friends of Figma Miami. He's also a Friends of Figma leader in Atlanta, Georgia, where he lives. So please help me welcome Juno. Thank you, Juno, for being here.
Thank you very much, Jonathan, for the introduction, but this is not true because I think they were trying to bring other people and nobody was accepting the invitation, so they were like a line 127. Okay, let's call Juno, right? So I'm here because of that. So let me introduce myself first. So let me see if this works. Okay, it's working. Okay, so I'm the founder of DOJO Plus. I will explain that in a little bit. I'm a BJJ brown belt, so if you're into jiu-jitsu, you know that to be a black belt takes 10 to 12 years. I'm a brown belt already 11, so I'm not very good. That's why I think, right? And also, when I was living here in Miami before, I was like doing mentorship for a lot of startups on Techstars, Emerge, giving bad advices, I think, right? So sometimes they take that, sometimes they don't, right? So they are gonna succeed in some way. So since I moved to Atlanta, it was because they never accept me here on Figma, Friends of Figma Miami. So I have to move to another city. So I started a new chapter there. So it's going well, okay, Jonathan? Okay, so I started my career a long time. I'm 67 years old now. So I did a lot, okay, a lot. So when we talk about advertising, I remember I was working in a agency that, you know, pretty much was like offline and online people. Imagine like they don't have like a communication, omni-channel, whatever they name. So it was like a pretty much, oh, let's do some banners, right? Like for, so I started like that early on my career. So I work in different things, so entertainment, so e-commerce a lot. So like in Brazil, I did the first e-commerce website for Formula One in Brazil. I work with like a lot of like famous singers in Brazil as well. Like imagine same thing like Taylor Swift, but in Brazil. So people that cannot walk on the street, right? Pretty much. So I did websites for people like that. So it was pretty fun. And you learn a lot, by the way. And I will talk about gaming a little bit as well. So also I help a lot of designers, right, to come to the market. Some of them are here today. I'm sorry, okay? So but they are here, they survive it. Okay, so in the next, I think 40 minutes, I will share a little bit more. So this is something that I was, I don't know, reading on YouTube or whatever, watching podcasts. So pretty much was that statement that got me. And that's it. That's it. Good night, right? No, actually, it's very interesting because there's no man that's gonna be better than a machine, and we know that, right? Like we try already ChatGPT, all this AI, and wow, right? What's gonna happen with me in the future, right? You're thinking like that already, but this guy wrote this, right? And this is a really old. Like if you search like a. In fact, that's true, right? Like because you can use any AI, any machine, but if you know how to use that for you in a real context, right? Like this is gonna save you hours of time. But also, I know that I've been talking with some people. I have the same feeling that there's a couple of things that still needs to improve, right? So it's like it's not perfect yet, depending on what you're doing, working. And I will share a little bit of things that I have tried and it didn't work it well. So a quick timeline, okay? So just to, because I'm Brazilian, right? Like people always look to me, are you Brazilian? Yes, I'm born in Brazil. I just have Brazilian passport, okay? So for the US government, I'm Brazilian technically. And I moved to Miami because of this company. It's very toxic, by the way. I don't, if you wanna just check on my LinkedIn, but I don't even see the name of the company anymore, right? Because, you know, like these kind of startups, they just hire family members or like family members of investors. And I was like, man, this is really weird, right? Like I don't like this kind of environment. And I started teaching at I Don't Hack, I think after 6 months that I moved here, which was great. I love it. And after this, I'm just trying to go fast, okay? So in 22, pretty much I started working at Cryptoys. This is a startup from Miami actually, right? They were building a gaming company based on the blockchain, and you can buy characters, all this stuff is really cool. And I don't know why they hired me, by the way, because the interview was like do you play games? No. Do you have video games? No. So it's like I don't know why you guys are hiring me. I don't. In fact, this happened with me because we have like a Star Wars characters, right, on the game. And one day someone asked me, "Hey Juno, can you send me the Baby Yoda for me?" And I sent, I don't know, it's Grogu, right? Like I was checking, and I don't even know the difference. Was like which one is Grogu, which one's like to me everything's like a very similar, and people were very offended. I know that, right? If you love that, I know. But sorry, but I was doing a different part of the project. I was like managing more the design system of the company, and also building all the parental controls, which was really great because we even filed like all the projects, so like to avoid other companies to copy. So we got all the approval from ESRB. It was really amazing, the project. But they failed. Okay, so anyways, this is another thing. So last year, so that's what happened, right? Like the market is changing a lot. So even I don't had to change because of the market. A lot of people are like, I'm not gonna do UX, whatever it is. And also for them, like blockchain, like all these like crypto words, like, okay, so a lot of investors were like, I'm not gonna invest on that anymore. So like everything changed. So from that, I was like, okay, I will apply for new jobs, right? And I started like applying like a crazy, right? Like you wake up and you apply for jobs, right? And I got one reply only. And I will tell that by the end, how this happened. It was crazy. And also a company that you really want to work, right? Like, because that's another thing, right? If you have the experience of like working for companies that you don't like, you start like, no, I'm not even gonna apply for this company, right? And I applied for this company, and I will tell what happened later. And after that was like, I was already doing Dojo Plus as on my side hustle, but I was like, okay, so now I will just focus on that. I like, it's like it's jiu-jitsu, which I love, and I talk with everybody, right, in Brazil and here. I have a lot of friends, so I focus on that. And it was pretty awesome because it forced me to do a lot of new things, explore new tools and everything else. And this is actually what I want to talk about with you guys today, right? And this can help you a lot because all this AI stuff that is happening, but maybe, you know, you have to take another approach on all that. Okay, so let's face the facts, right? That's nobody wants to talk, or you just read some news there or whatever, but pretty much like there's less jobs, right? And that's why bootcamps also in some way they're failing, right? Because what's the point of bringing more people? There's no jobs, right? Like, so it's like this is data, right? Like, so if you start researching, you're gonna understand that even if it's like a small raise this year, it's not enough for all the layoffs that happened last 2-3 years, right? This is the like numbers. So I was like, okay, so this is like a very disappointing, right? And also last week, Shopify CEO said, right, like before hiring anybody else, they're gonna ask the person to try to use AI. And if, okay, it doesn't solve the problem, okay, so we're gonna open a new role, right? So if you start thinking about that, like a lot of companies is gonna, they are taking this approach already, right? And AI and automation, right? So I start like studying a little bit about automation because of that as well, because you want to use AI, but how you don't want to do the manual process of that as well, right? So I was like, okay, so if they do that, how I can automate on my workflow? So thinking about that, everybody uses AI. I have to change. So now I'm a cartoon like everybody else, posting on social media, right? Like everybody's that now, right? Nobody's real. So I was like, okay, let's face that, but let's start changing the approach on projects, on how you see the market, right? Or things that you have to maybe change even in your lifestyle, right? So, as UX, we always try to use some kind of things like this, right? Okay, let's understand the data, right? Let's test, let's build prototypes, and solve the right problem. I think that's the main thing usually, right? Because I saw many projects, I talked with so many designers on the past few years, and people like to build features, right? But nobody's solving problems sometimes, right? And you have to start meeting people, talking to business owners, whatever it is, and trying to add value for them, right? Because your feature, nobody cares actually, right? Oh, I want to do an app like this, nobody cares. That's the truth, right? Because if you're not solving a real problem, right? And that's, as designer, we have to start facing that, right? Like so we have to start thinking about how we're gonna find the right problem to solve. So on Dojo Plus, so I will try to summarize everything that I was building, but all these websites in the background, I made by myself, all of them, okay? During, I think, starting on November to now, and more than this, for sure, like I was counting, it's more than 37 now, like 38 maybe, something like that I was counting. So I was like helping pretty much all my friends in Jiu-Jitsu. I was like, if you need a problem, I solve for you, right? But this is one side of the business of Jiu-Jitsu, right? Like, so if you think about, okay, having a nice website, a beautiful interface is cool because, of course, they always had horrible websites, right? And now they have like a decent presentation. But after talking with them, it goes beyond, right? Because they need to bring people, they need to do marketing, they need to do social media, video, a bunch of stuff. And I start learning those things as well. I was like, okay, so I'm not good on this. Like, I understand that maybe like let's say, how many of you guys had to design a landing page, right? So if you have to write down right now how to make a really good landing page, I can tell you, maybe this is not gonna convert, right? And it's so crazy because I was like even studying the emotional fact, how to design a landing page at some point, right? Like X% of people, they buy by emotion. Another X% is like they need to, have like more proof, social proof, and other people like, and you start thinking about all the sections that you have to start building that, right? And I was improving, trying to understand. And after that, you have to start like understanding data, right? I don't know how many of you guys know, but you can track how much people scroll on the page, right? And decide if it's like it's good, the designers know, right? Or people click it on that specific area or not, right? So this forced me to be a much better designer, right? To design with a lot of intention, right? Because like it's not working, right? Like some of them start like doing ads, spending money, right? And they are all small business, right? If you ask them to spend 1,000, they're going, Juno, I can, but you have to guarantee that I have my money back, right? Like, okay, so I cannot guarantee, but I can test, right? So I started learning like a crazy. I learned so many small details, more than the landing page, but also how to design better ads. Some ads is really bad, I know, but you start understanding the behavior of people, what is gonna convert and everything else. But on top of that, once you start adding value, solving real problems, is when people start referring you to other people, right? And this is something amazing, actually, because I had the opportunity to start connecting with people that, in some way, I was like, maybe I will never meet these people in my life, right? And pretty much what happened this year, on the past 3 months, I think, I met all these 3 guys and more, but I think that this is like the most relevant people. If you don't know, I will tell who are those people, right? Because a lot of people are not in the MMA, whatever. So Hickson Gracie, if you don't know, right? He doesn't shows his face, it's fine because other stuff. But he's like the son, right? From one of the guys that created the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, just to make like a contest. Also, he was the guy that taught, like the big green guy from the superhero, the Hulk. So he taught Hulk to breathe. I don't know if you remember this movie, right? He was in Rio and was like, okay, so if you want to breathe, like, bam, it was like a teaching. So this is this guy. He never lost a professional fight in his life. and it was before MMA, right? It was like a Vale Tudo. It's like a 30 minutes fight, non-stop. Okay, it's not like 5 minutes, let's water, whatever. No, not that. It's 30 minutes, okay? And who survive, survive. It's 30 minutes. So this is this guy. I haven't of course, it's an honor to talk with him, right? And even I share with some people this picture. I'm like, man, this is like a talk with this person. Nowadays he didn't even pick up the phone. If you wanna offer brands, he doesn't even care, right? So to talk with him is really amazing, and what we are talking about for his legacy, what I'm building, is really cool. So it's that's the opportunity that starts showing up for me. Vitor, I don't know if you know Vitor Belfort, but Vitor, after all this UFC stuff, he's the youngest champion of UFC. I think he was champion, he was 20 years old, 18, I don't know. He was super young, but pretty much he's the youngest on the whole history of UFC, right? And so I'm building, one of the websites that you saw is for his gym. So I'm doing things for him. And the last guy, I don't know if you know him, a lot of people don't know him. He is the creator of the UFC, right? Orion Grace. He sold to Dana White. People said that, it was a bad deal, was $1 million, whatever. I don't even remember. But it's not fair to say that, right? Because even Dana White said in an interview, it's not right to say that because we put, I think, $50 million on top of that to build the whole infrastructure of UFC. The UFC was pretty much just a brand and just a couple of events, right? So it's not right to say that, but he has 300 gyms around the world, right? Affiliated to him. So it's he's doing well, I think, right? So, and you learn a lot from these guys, right? Because even Horion, he was telling me that when he moved to US, he had a bad time in US. He had to sleep on the street, right? So he has no money, right? And it's crazy to think about that, right? Because also jiu-jitsu wasn't what is jiu-jitsu today, right? Now it's plenty of schools around here, there, any county that you go, any city, there's a jiu-jitsu school. But on his time, it was nobody was what is that, right? So that's the opportunity that once I was focusing on building things that matters for people start connecting to other people that probably you will never meet, right? Doing regular stuff in life. Okay, so thinking about that, how I start doing that, right? Because that's another thing that you have to think, how I'm gonna improve myself, right? Because it's really comfortable to do nothing, right? I know, I've been there also, right? I'm tired, I'm not gonna do this or whatever. So I was reading about that, and there's these two terms people like to label stuff always, right? So this is skill flux. It's something that pretty much in the past, I don't know, 20 years, usually you can get a new skill, and this skill is gonna last 10 years. That was the average, right? And I was thinking, maybe it's true because I started designing websites on Photoshop, right? And sometimes Illustrator, sometimes on freehand. I don't know if you remember freehand, probably not, right? But freehand, Adobe acquired them, right? Macromedia, and they killed freehand. Freehand was much better than Illustrator to me. At least to design interfaces, it was more precise, right? But I think the world wasn't ready for that, right? Nobody was thinking about 8-point grid system, whatever, right? On that time, nobody cared. So thinking about that, pass the time to start Sketch on the market, right? How many of you guys use Sketch here? Yeah, just a few already, right? So you use Sketch, right? And Sketch is more than 10 years already, right? If you think about it. And it's so funny because I was in Brazil on that time, and one agency hired me just to be part of a project to teach Sketch to the team. They were Juno, you don't need to deliver what they need. but you just need to coach the people to learn how to build on Sketch, because the client wants everything on Sketch. I'll say, okay, so it was pretty cool. I have even friends until now, they even thank me to help them the transition, right? Like, because it's pretty new, right? If you're a designer and you are used to use Photoshop, it's a new word, it's a different word. You have to create symbols, if you remember. It's not even component, right? Symbols. And like it's a different process to build all this stuff. And so currently, they were like saying that one skill actually now on this skill flux is gonna last average 2 years. And that's true, I think, right? Because if you think about Sketch, after a couple of years, everybody was learning XD, right? And after that, everybody was learning Figma, right? And now, Canva, I don't know, I'm just saying. But anyways, I'm learning a lot of stuff, okay? So, by the way, if you didn't watch it, Canva launched last week, you're missing a lot of stuff. Because they are ahead in a lot of stuff, especially on the websites. They launched all the CMS stuff. It's like a Airtable, really well made it, that I was expecting Figma to do that. Just a message to Figma, but I think variables table is horrible, right? Like for a long time, they need to improve that, and Canva fixed that, right? Faster, right? So, and it's pretty simple, right? I know that a lot of designers, they hate Canva, but you have to think about the user, right? Who's the user? The small business. They cannot afford a designer. So that's why they're so big, because it's cheap, right? Simple, and if you need like a WhatsApp icon, you have a bunch of them, then going on Figma, oh, this library is not good, let me download another plugin. Oh, another plugin. Come on, right? You know that. And they solve that problem in a very simple way on a phone, right? So we have to be open to start understanding there's a lot of people creating much better solutions. I'm not saying about Canva, but a lot of different products out there that I was testing, and I was like, okay, so maybe we should, like try new things on different projects just to see if it's gonna fit better than just go for Figma first, right? Like I love Figma, of course, I use Figma in a lot of projects, but we have to start thinking about learning new skills, right? That's the thing. And you can apply one thing to another, right? Like the same logic, right? So, thinking about that, so everything that we are learning is gonna be fast, right? You're gonna learn, and in 2 years or maybe 6 months, it's over, especially on the AI field, right? How many of you were like downloading all these like LinkedIn posts, how to do a prompt, right? Nobody cares about that, right? Like, because the prompts change, right? You have like the time that you're, I'm gonna check that PDF, they launch GPT-4, right? GPT, and you're like, I was in GPT 2.5, whatever. I'm like, okay, so yeah, things moves really fast, right? So we have to start thinking about that. So another term that people label, and I was reading this book that calls ultra learning, and that's about that, right? Because the third skilling is about saving 30 minutes, 1 hour every day to learn a new skill, right? If you don't do that, it's gonna be hard for you in the future, I will say. And what I did, like from last year, was that. I was like, okay, so all these gym owners, they're asking me stuff, and I was like, I don't know everything, right? I don't know how to do this, whatever, right? Like optimize the best, like email marketing campaign. I don't know, like maybe, I know I designed some of them, but once you have to really bring the results, it's gonna change, right? Like you're gonna say, okay, so if I design randomly things here, like they're gonna be really upset with me, right? So I have to solve a problem. So I start like saving 1 hour every day in the morning before working. I was like, okay, I need to learn something. And I was like, let me just go study one topic, whatever it is, and after that I will apply that, right? So this is what people are talking. It's not like I'm just trying to bring this for you guys. And the book that I was reading, there's actually this book. They don't have a really like a good recommendation on Amazon, but it was good. I read like a few parts, of course, but it was pretty decent, the idea behind that. Okay, so now this number, right? If you're a designer, you know this number. What is this number? Let me see if you know that.
Yes, sir.
Minutes in a day.
The French Revolution.
Okay, yes. So I think someone answered the right. Actually, this is the minutes of a day, right? So this is the minutes of a day. So before doing this routine of studying, what I decided myself, how many hours you spend on social media? Just face it. Just open your iOS, Android, whatever, and check right now. And I was like talking with a lot of people, even with my mother-in-law, right? That I love her a lot. And I was talking to her, open your social media, please. Let's check together. I'm here to support you, right? And that's it, right? It's 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours a day. And you come to me and say, Juno, but I don't have time to study, okay? But you have 3 hours a day to spend on nothing, right? On looking for others people's lives and feel bad about that as well, right? So, okay, I want to be like this person. So instead of using this useless time, right, like for nothing, I started like, I understand you. I have social media. I have to check that sometimes. So what I did, I created a limit, right? A limit on my phone, right? So how many of you guys go to the gym and everybody, 1% every day? So it's 1% to me, 1% of social media only, which means 14 minutes, 14 minutes a day. And that's what I spend on social media nowadays, right? And once you do that, it's so crazy that it's too fast. Juno, I know. That was the same thing on the first week. I was like, already 14 minutes? Wow, that's crazy, right? Like, yes, you spend all this time for nothing. And you're gonna, oh, I'm late for doing this or that, whatever. Or spending time with your family, right? Things like this. So once you start figuring out, and that's the thing, understanding the data, understanding the numbers, you're, okay, so maybe I should change that on my life. And this changed a lot, right? I don't, like, we are a weird family, okay, sorry, because we don't have TV. My kids, they don't even know, like, all the cartoons. By the way, there's one thing that happened because my son was like 4 to 5. He was doing the soccer class, and the teacher was asking, oh, who's your superhero? Who's your superhero, right? Like, and everybody, like, Spider-Man, like, blah, 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 whatever, right? And so he doesn't know, right, all these characters because we don't show them. And I was, one day before he was asking, oh, who's your hero? Because every kid always, and I was like, oh, Hickson Grace is my hero, right? And on the soccer class, he said, like, Hickson Grace. The soccer instructor, who is this person, right? Like, oh, he's a hero, yeah. He was teaching the hook to breathe, right? Much better, right? Than being the hook, you cannot even like control your emotions, right? So, anyways, so this is every time that you're gonna design a desktop screen, you're gonna remember Juno, right? Like, man, Juno told me, and I'm here on Instagram, right? Okay, so just think about that. Just use your time, right? Like 1 hour a day, 14, so study 45 minutes, something new, right? Or something that is gonna add value for you or for your client, whatever it is. And this, what it means for you, nothing, right? I know, sorry, okay, it's just a number, but pretty much this is the ratio that I was like learning on the Ultra Learning book. Is 1 hour learning, 5 hours, you have to practice that, right? Because if you don't do that, and I noticed that, right? Like, because, oh, let me read that. Okay, I'm good. And you sit down to design, okay, I don't remember, right? And you have to practice to start remembering, right? Like things. So think about if you study today, how many hours you are putting in your work, right? Like whatever it is, like you have to deliver stuff, but just try to apply the knowledge, right, on your work all the time. Okay, so how I did that? This is my method. Okay, so it's how I did that. So define those goals, right? What exactly you have to learn or you want to learn. Okay, I want to learn CMS, right? How to do JavaScript, whatever it is, simple stuff. Like, by the way, I know how to code a little bit, right? So that's why it's so frustrating, because there's a lot of tools I know that you can just go and they code it and everything. But depending on the platform that you're building stuff, they're not going to be very good, right? And learning a little bit is good, because you can tell, no, can you merge that function? Can you make this async? Can you make that a global variable? Can you make, at least if you have a little bit of knowledge, it's going to improve your game a lot. If you don't know, good luck, right? It's better that you spend 2 hours a day to learn something, probably, right? And so this micro-learning process every day, right? And that's so crazy, because my mind is like that. So this morning I was like coming here, right? I took the flight, and I was like, I have to learn something in the morning, right? And I took like one of the videos that I was watching, right? And I just watched that, because I have to learn something, right? I have, my brain needs to process something now, right? It's like it's almost going to the gym, right? Every day, it's just a habit that you build. And of course, YouTube University, but I always put 2x, so like you speed up, right? Like, because they talk too slowly, right? Like now I think I will meet those people, like, why do you speak so slowly, right? Like, so now it's like, but it's a way that I was like finding like how to optimize, right? Because some tutorials, whatever, is like 1 hour. No, I don't have the time, right? Like I want to like go to the next video and see. So make those experiments. So what I did by myself, that's the last item, what I was doing is like, okay, I want to understand how to apply like the CMS on Wix or like Webflow or whatever it is. I do a hackathon for me. I just like, okay, I need to build that, but I set like 4 hours, 6 hours to build. And I have to build, whatever it is. Like if it's garbage, it's garbage. It doesn't matter, because it's just a test, right? But it's a way that you practice that, right? So this is my process. You don't need to take that, right? Like you're just like, okay, so maybe I will do that. I will try, but this is the way that I was doing, and that's why I learned. By the way, I did a lot of Framer as well. I did 3 websites on Framer, different industries. It's good, but it's lacking a lot of features. So that's the thing about a lot of people entering the market. Oh, we are gonna do a website like Canva. I think Canva was smart, because at least making the data dynamic to build graphics, all this stuff was pretty smart, because once you do the website and it's very static, it's like doing websites in 2000, right? Like, what's the point of this website? Like, it's like a static folder on the web, right? Nobody wants that, right? So that's why I think Canva took a really interesting approach on launching all together, right? Like, because that's what the need, right now on the market. If you see all the CMS in the market, they already have that. So if you're entering the market, it's better that you have a better product, right? So I did that. I did Wix Studio, Webflow, Squarespace, so I can do everything. If you ask me, I can help you to fix anything now. And Canva by the end, of course, because I have to do ads for the clients, and Canva is pretty easy. You know, like you can download a lot of things on Figma, but Canva is fast. That's the point, right? And from the 37 people that I helped through the time, right now, because I changed how I am charging them, I just have 15, because that's the thing. You also like, I cannot help you forever, right? Like, so if you want to pay me, it's fine. Otherwise, like, just move on. But I can do 15 campaigns easily, because of Canva, right? I'm not selling Canva for you guys, but like, it's just spend your time to understand what they did, right? And how can help you on the, like, for that specific part of your design process. not for everything, but for this, let's do this. For this, use that, right? Like, so, because if you are close in your word, you're not gonna improve. That's the truth, right? Because there's much going on out there right now, and you have to be, it's like testing AI, right? Because this is the hobby, right? I'm gonna test, test things that add value for people, not doing like the cartoons that adding zero value for people, right? And also automation on that, right? I was testing a lot of automation, so like how to connect system, how to do this or that, right? Like there's many tools out there, like a Zapier, Make, whatever it is. And there's like some Brazilian competitors that is cheaper, so like for some projects I have to use that. And that's the thing, like that's the problem, right? Like, okay, but then like this Brazilian startup, nobody cares. Okay, but they are like 1/3 of your price or 1/5 of your price, right? And that's what people said about the Australian camera, right? Like, okay. So now it's $1 billion company, so maybe that's gonna happen, right? Like it's gonna come from Brazil or whatever country. We do it better and cheaper, right? So that's the thing that we have to study, right? Like why you're, like for example, automation. I did a lot of automation on WhatsApp. In Brazil, like a lot of people use WhatsApp. So all the tools, all the companies, they sell WhatsApp automation, too expensive to the Brazilian market. So there's one Brazilian company, they do that, you know, it costs less than $10 and it's much better, like, right? It's no-brainer, right? But instead of spending my time on learning all these other tools that okay, I'm gonna study this company and it's way cheaper, right? And I can charge way more. Okay, so let's go back, right? Like to the job application. So from all the companies that I apply, one of the companies that I wanna work is like Patagonia, right? I think it's like a really cool company, by the way, right? Patagucci, right? Some people call like that because it's super expensive, I know. But I think, you know, they fix this stuff, right? Like my dog ate my bag, they gave me another bag, right? They said, like, we understand you love your dog, what you can do, right? We are gonna try to fix, but just pick another bag, right, for now. And so I really like the design, the stores, the magazine is so beautiful, everything. And I was checking the website, so horrible. And I was like, it's like very corporate, right? And so I tried to redesign the magazine on the web, right? Like, why is like a blog format, right? Like if you can tell stories, right? Like to people, is what you do on a magazine, right? Like why you don't do a better job on web? And so I designed some sections, like I build all this responsiveness, this spacing, I build all the rules. I made the Figma file, I sent to them, right? So they call me, hey Juno, really cool. We're gonna invite you here to, you know, like to join the team, to talk with the team, to show your case study. Will be pretty cool. So I don't know if it was an interview or free consulting because I stayed with like 3 hours with the team. And they were like throwing problems, like, Juno, look this, right? I was like, okay, so I think you should do this, whatever, right? Like, I don't know. And also, like, I understand a lot of like technical limitations they have on the platform, so that's why, we cannot do this, we cannot implement that because of this or that, right? And this happened, right? You know, right? Like whatever company you work, like there's some limitation on the tools they have, right, on the tech side. Was pretty cool. I spent a lot of time with them, but they never call me. You know, like that special night, they don't, I love this person, and they never call you back, right? So it's okay, it's all right. But anyways, I was so much focused on my stuff in the same time, right? And also going to the school with the kids, right? Like spending time with them. And I was like, I went to the school one day, and imagine like they have these meetings, the teachers, they bring, they invite parents, right, to go, to talk and everything else. If you're a parent, you understand that. So I went there, right? Like my son is 5 years old, so imagine like it's kindergarten teachers, right? So, okay, let's learn something, right? And so they brought an article, and they were like talking about all this AI media stuff on kids, the problems that is raising, right? Like all the time. And the teacher brought a really interesting article about technology, right? And now it's not talking about technology right now, but technology in the past, right? And the thing was like think about like a tool, right? Like an X. That was the article talking about. This is a technology. On that time, when they created that, people were like, wow, this is a new technology, right? And it's very good, right? We can use that to build stuff, right? And but the thing is like every technology on the article, the idea was they have 3 phases, right? And we have to understand that. So the first phase of a technology, that is the axis here that we are going to use as an example, is to build. You build a house, you build whatever you want. It's very good. So the second one is the bad, right? You can use that and kill someone. It's bad, right? It's not good, but it's bad. But you are using the technology to something that wasn't created, right? And the last one is the stupid, right? You can cut your leg. And the article was that, you can cut your leg. So think about all the technologies that we have right now, right? That can be good, bad, or really stupid, depending on who is using that, or how you're using this, or if you're doing cartoon, right, all the time. So it's like adding 0 value and stealing from artists, right? So that's it. So think about, is good, bad, or it's just stupid what we are doing, right? So I think it's a way to think, and that's why it's so interesting, right? Like to go and you learn from the teacher that is like educating my child. I'm so happy, right, to hear those things from her, right? Because it's totally different, like a mindset and how she sees the world, right? To educate them. And that's it, right? Like the last thing that I want to share is the Now project. How many of you guys know the Now project? Nobody? Oh, that's lame, right? So Now projects, if you go to nownow.com, is a Now page that everybody should build that Now page. So you build a Now page on your portfolio, whatever, website, your domain, and you write what you're doing right now. I'm doing this, right? I'm working on this, I'm reading this book, I'm reading 2 books, by the way, I put that on my page. This is what I'm doing right now. Because the website is like, it's too slow, right? When you update your portfolio, you don't even remember. Like, I don't know, 5 months ago, right? Like, so just go there, build a page, and submit to nownow.com, right? And the guy is really responsive. He's an author of a lot of like very interesting books, by the way. And I actually messaged him telling about this event. So you can say, oh, Juno told me on this event, and he's gonna be super happy because he's waiting for that. And he's super responsive. If you send, he's gonna answer like in 1-2 days for sure. And that's it. Okay, so I think one thing, the last messaging, to make sure that you're gonna move forward, you need accountability, right? This is something that you need someone to help you, right? Like I'm improving, I'm going to a place or not, and something that you have to keep in your mind. The way that I do that is very strange, by the way, okay? Because I have to renew my visa every 3 years, right? So my lawyer is my accountability person, right? Because every 3 years, she came to me and, hey, Juno, tell me everything that you did on the last 3 years because I have to submit that. It's really hard, right? Because if you start thinking about what you did on the last 3 years and you have to send to the government and they're gonna judge you. No, I think, you know, and so think about that. So try to think what is your 1% that you are like improving every day, right? And probably this is gonna help you a lot in the future. I hope that I could contribute a little bit in your life, and that's it, okay?
Thank you, Juno. So you like the top dance? Yeah. So we're all gonna open it for Q&A. So if you guys have any questions, I'll pass the mic and Juno can just answer your question. You have a question.
Hey, Juno, that was great. My name is Cameron. I have a question for you pertaining to how do you see the future of certain titles being like design engineer or product strategist with the barrier of entry being a lot higher? So what would you say to those things? Do you think that's going to be a continued trend?
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a continued trend on that, because I think what I would say, like for entry level, is gonna be really, really hard, more and more, I think. So that's why if you're in entry level, you have to start learning more and more, right? Like you have to be more than the boot camp, more than whatever, especially like a universities, there are some of them that's totally outdated, right? So I think companies are trying to adjust on that as well, right? So I think Shopify, for example, if they are not hiring, they are just keeping a couple of people, and they're gonna change a little bit your role, right? Because you're doing a little bit more than just product design, whatever. So this is gonna be a shift on the market, for sure. That's what I see. It's gonna happen.
Any other question?
Skill you recommend that you haven't mentioned besides that Canva to learn?
Aside from Canva, Juno, please, something else.
Figma, of course, because Figma is launching a lot of stuff, by the way, right? Like there's a lot of new stuff, but I will try to, because for example, I was before, I was doing a lot of automations using Airtable, Zapier, and trying to bring the data to Figma, right? So, especially because on some of the projects that I was managing, we have to bring the real data or the last information from the company's partners or the licenses that we had on the time. So I will try to work on that, right? Automation tools. I will go for any design tool or any website builder, because all of them, they're doing a lot of cool stuff. By the way, I even recommended one right today, because WordPress is really nice, but they lack a lot of features, right? That's why you have Elementor that raises it really fast as a plugin, but there's this new company that calls Bricks. So if you Google Bricks WordPress, they pretty much use the multi-site version of WordPress, but they do the hosting and everything else, and they have all the components. So it's very simple. It's just it's super simple, and it costs $250 a year for unlimited websites. So if even Canva, right? Canva wants to charge, I don't even know. It's too expensive if you think about it already, right? Because if another company can offer really cheap like that, they need to change the business model, right? So there's a lot of things like this I will recommend. Maybe I should add on my now page, right? Everything that I'm learning, all the tools.
Good stuff. Somebody else here?
Hey, Alejandro here. If I understood you right, the jiu-jitsu stuff was your a side hustle for something that you liked personally, right? It had nothing to do with your day-to-day work, right? How did you get your clients for that? Was it word of mouth initially, or did you use something like Upwork? Are there any platforms you recommend for finding your specific niche freelance clients?
Yeah, that's a good question. I was even thinking about that, but for this specific market, people are really offline, right? They don't understand technology. Just a really few people will understand. So most of them, there was a recommendation, and people that I met and I lost, right? Fighting, rolling, for sure, because they are more graduated than me. So they became friends. So most of them, they started from this, and someone started like referring to another, until I got to those guys, right? Like it was pretty much like that.
Hey, so awesome talk. Like you, I also know how to code a little bit, and I was wondering with the coming age of AI kind of taking over that field, is it worth still learning how to code? Is there a certain avenue you would recommend to get into coding?
Yeah, that's a great question because actually the founder of the company that I used to work in Brazil, he posted that, right? Like he's a very successful guy, like he did a good exit, and he posted an article asking about that, right? Like it's really relevant to learn how to code. I would say if you're good, yes, because OpenAI, they need to hire people, right? But you have to be really good, right? NASA, whatever, right? Like those people, you still need brilliant people, right? Like, I'm not brilliant. I'm not even close to that people. But I think in some way it's useful, for example, because, for example, I was like doing something on Squarespace and Wix, and if I have to rely on the tool, on ChatGPT, whatever, to code, they cannot deliver really well, right? Like you still need to, like, you have to understand like a few coding concepts, right? Like the database name is like this, whatever, like the fields is like this is a Boolean field. Like there's a couple of things that just being a designer is gonna be really hard, I would say. Like you have to have a little extra on that.
Vocabulary.
Yeah. Understand the vocabulary will be like at least the minimum. I think for the future, I think is the minimum.
There in the back.
Thank you, Juno. This is great talk. So thinking about, kind of piggybacking off of that question. Thank you.
So piggybacking off of that question, so thinking about like the skill surge, I'm trying to just think through. To me, skills, you can almost have like a pyramid or a scaffold. So like you could learn a skill of creating a presentation with Canva, but you may not have the same taste that Juno has to know that, okay, with your experience creating banners or what have you 20 years ago, this is how we can make that Canva presentation really look nice, right? And maybe you just use the Canva's template and then that you don't have to worry about that. But I'm just thinking with I was listening to a podcast the other day and it was a founder, I can't remember who it was, but he sold his company. All he's doing is he's studying physics because he thinks that the innovations are going to be in hardware, not in software. And so it's almost like the same thing when you're talking about async. Knowing async, knowing global variables, when you're coding, you can kind of know when AI is good and when it's not. So I'm just wondering if you can speak of like, as designers of craft, like is it learning Canva? When we're doing the skill search, should we be focusing on some of the basics? Half of my time I should be really digging into color and just like is it just Canva and which is the latest thing? Is it reading a book that was written 300 years ago? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a great question because this will very depend on what is your role or the goals that you want to achieve as well, right? So, for example, if you want to be, I don't know, more artistic or learn, like I don't know how to draw really well. Actually, my wife, she draws much better than me. She even published a book already. So I was like, okay, so I'm not very good on that. And I don't even know why I'm a designer, right? But I think it's more about the problem solving part. But I think you should try, right? As color, for example. One thing that is very interesting that I love sharing that story because at school that my son, he goes, they learn only one color a week. This was last year, right? This new year was different, but he was like 3 to 4 years, so they learn one color a week only. And you're gonna, why, right? Because I remember when I was a child and I was like drawing all this stuff, and I was very confusing about the colors, right? Because too many colors, right? And the colors, they have like different tones, and my sister, she laughs nowadays, right? Like, because she's always bullying me, right? Like, you don't understand the color. This is not blue. This is blah blah blah, whatever. Like, okay, so my son started in a different way, right? Imagine, like, because they paint one color a week, and they know all the levels of blue, all levels of red, all levels of. So I think if you wanna go more into that, right? Like, oh, I wanna improve my skill set, but like a drawing, whatever it is, or like understanding more color psychology, whatever. He can see colors better than me nowadays, easily, because I'm old, of course. But I think you should try to spend your time on things that matters for you, right? But I in some way, to me, like, it's really hard to compare, because I was really trying to use the things to apply for clients, right? Like, so it's like different goal, right? But if you have like the goal, I wanna be better on this, or even coding, right? Like, because that's the thing. To be brilliant is about maybe spending more time, right? Like learning stuff, right? Like that maybe you have to, okay, they launch a new whatever, right? Like, and you have to understand how those things work, or even like all these AIs, how is like some of them are open source, so you can just go there and read, right? Like but it's hard to understand all that, right? It's not for everybody, right, to understand that. So, yeah.
And I wanted to add a little bit of that, because I was listening to a podcast today about just that. From, I don't know if anyone has heard Lenny's podcast about product and founders, really good. Very, very recommended. Lenny's podcast. And he was talking to the founder of Versal, which is a platform for building software using AI. And they launched D0 recently, which basically you can just prompt and build things. I think some of you have been trying it and sharing it. But Lenny asked them the same question, like, well, what's going to happen to coding, right? What's going to happen to engineering? And basically what he was saying is that our skill set is going to shift. So one of the big skills is eloquence. It's like, how do you tell the machine what to do, right? Like, how do you use the right words to get the right output, right? So what does that mean, eloquence? I mean, it could mean a lot of things, right? Like reading more, right? Getting more, getting more knowledge about broader subjects, right? So you basically tell the machine what to do, right? So it's gonna be less about deep learning, more like surface level learning, like what you were saying, being familiar with CSS, being familiar with JavaScript, right? Like the web is built on JavaScript, right? So just the basics of that, so that you at least know if the output that the AI is giving you is wrong, then you know how to tell it to fix it, right? But if you don't know what you're looking at, then it's very hard. So anyway, really good podcast. It was actually posted today, so check it out. Here, I have another question here.
Hey Juno, everybody hear me?
Oh.
Juno was my teacher, so amazing teacher. 5 years ago, he was the one that taught me a lot of what I know now. I really like the quote that you put today about no man is better than a machine, but no machine is better than a man with a machine. And that really unlocked something in the way that I'm thinking, because as a designer, I think that the value that I bring to the table is I can show somebody the future. You know, a founder or somebody who's working on something, and they have an idea, I'm able to bring that future in a way so that they can experience it or show it or put it in front of a customer or put it in front of a user. And I really like that quote because it makes me think that I shouldn't be afraid of AI, but in fact embrace it as maybe a way to iterate more like that. Do you have, any examples of other ways that we could add AI into like our process as designers?
One thing before answering this question, a long time ago, one day, I was asking other developers what I should learn, right? Like so many languages, whatever. and everybody always answer like, just learn JavaScript, right? Like, because at least like you have the basic, like to understand the other languages, right? And so if you want to learn just at least a little bit, I will do that. So for designer, like that's the thing, because I will not focus too much, right? Like on this whole process and everything. I will. That's what I did on Dojo Plus. I was like, let me go to the end user, what they really need, right? Because it doesn't really matter the whole process, right? Like actually the client, they even don't care about that, right? Like, so you have to understand the problems to solve that. And based on this, you start adding in the middle of the process what you're gonna use, right? So for example, if you need to build ads, right? There's many agents, AI, that build that for you. Actually, even Facebook, right? Like they recommend for you, but it's horrible. I don't know why, right? They have Yum or whatever, and they cannot even do that for themselves, right? But anyways, like you can use other tools and build much better ads, right, for people. This is one part of the process, but like if you want to build a landing page, for example, I train one agent to start like all the information, like for example, for the landing page, I was like adding all the information there was like a reading, learning, and then like so 30% of people is gonna buy because of the 40%, and they start recommending, oh, you have to have like a FAQ section, you have to have this, you have to have that, and it makes a lot of sense, right? And so try to understand, that's the thing, like this is one industry, right? Probably if you go to like a restaurant business, whatever, like a coffee shops, they have other problems, right? That they need to solve, right? And I think that's my approach. I won't care about much what actually, because that's a thing, maybe tomorrow's gonna be another tool, and you're gonna be anxious about like I have to learn this, whatever. No, you have to solve real problems for real people, right? Because that's if you think about, we go dinner with friends, whatever, right? Like think about how we live, right? Like and try to solve those problems right now.
I'm currently in finance, but I'm in the process of transitioning to design. So I'm like working to build my portfolio right now. I know you mentioned like the environment is changing a lot, like it's moving very quickly. So would you have advice for someone who's trying to enter the field at this point in time? Like what skills to focus on, or what expertise to show?
Yes, that's a great question that I always think about. Try to use as much as you can from like your past experience into this new field, right? So I worked with like financial products in Brazil. Pretty boring, by the way. Like okay, it's the same thing. Like just change the colors, right? But I cannot complain because opened a lot of network for me in Brazil, because I was like doing websites on that time only for like public companies in Brazil. So it's like pretty much is always meeting the C-level of companies, all this stuff. So this opened my network in Brazil crazy on that time. So I will always try to understand what can you bring to that, right? Because that's the thing, they still need to build financial products, right? And there's a lot of things that probably you have much more insights. It's like the same thing of Jiu-Jitsu. I know a lot of things that being like doing that for a couple of years and understanding design, you have a different view of that world, right? And I think this is what you have to start focusing, understanding what are your past experience and how you can apply to solve problems, right? Like on different products or even financial products, right? And you can build your portfolio on top of that, right? Because also portfolio is about that, right? It's the storytelling, right? Especially if you're like shifting careers, whatever, people really need to understand why you took that decision, right? And that could be good or bad, right? The way that understand that. So I will focus more on that, right? Like what are your current skill sets, how you can apply on the design field, or what are the companies that you want to work with. Patagonia for me, like maybe you want to work for Bank of America, no, right? Wells Fargo, no. Okay.
One more question.
Here you go. Here you go.
Appreciate it. So, because you talked about like all these different softwares and integrations, so I guess if you can speak to a little bit of the API landscape for small businesses, how do you see that going? Or do you have any insight on like what have you seen trends with some of the softwares? Are they like being easily integrated, specific to small businesses, or do you feel like there's still difficulty there when it comes to APIs?
Yeah, that's a interesting question because I had to research a little bit of that because I have a friend in California and he bought like a restaurant, right? And he called me to ask me, hey, Juno, what is like the best option because we are using, I don't know, Toast, whatever it is, right? But we need to make a website, we need to do this, integrate social media, blah, 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 to generate coupons, wow, there's a lot of things. And I was researching that, right? There's a couple of APIs and a couple of integrations, so that's why the automation tools comes really handy on this process, because if they don't create it natively on those automation tools, a developer already created, right? So instead of that's the thing, right? Coding is important, but if you can, automation is another animal, right? Because we can say that, oh, it's gonna be easy, but from my experience, for example, if you don't organize, I will add a form, right? Very simple. I will add a form on this website, on Squarespace, whatever it is. I will send that information. So basic things that you don't do the variable correctly is not gonna work, right? And any API, whatever it is, whatever integration, right? So you have to have this knowledge, but there's a lot of things that I will just try to reuse, right? I have this mentor, and he's a really good friend, and he told me about that, right? Actually, the approach that I took on Dojo Plus was about that, because he told me one thing that was really interesting. He told, don't build anything that is already exist. Don't build, because you are wasting your time, and it's gonna cost you millions to get to the same point of other tools. There's no point of spending $1 on that, right? One second on that. So my approach was this: I can do everything that a gym needs, memberships, whatever. I can even some of them, they have online programs. You can buy videos. I did everything using the tools that's already on the market, right? And people, I want to invent everything. I was it's just waste of the time, right? And he is one of the partners of all these big software fitness companies, and our last conversation was that, right? The problem of the future for those companies is people like me, right? Because if there's 10 Junos, 20, 100, they're gonna die, right? Why? Because if you understand a little bit of tech, there's what people call tech debt, right? And people just wanna keep building, and they are gonna sell, and they don't care, right? It's another problem, it's the investor's problem, right? So fitness industry, I can tell about that because I was very into that on the past few months. There's one company that calls ABC, and they buy everybody just to merge, consolidate the operation, and use one code and keep charging, right? The memberships of gyms, right? And they bought companies in Brazil, Latin America, a lot of it. So the business model is that, right? Because they don't want to have the tech debt. I just want to buy your portfolio, right? And this is going to happen more and more. So it's don't spend time building stuff, right? If there's API, whatever, try to reuse that, try to apply, try to solve a real problem using that, right? Otherwise, I have this mindset, I know, because we are all creative people, right? And this is a problem. And someone told me that one day. That's your problem, actually, because we never stop building, right? Because you have always a new idea, and that's a problem, right? Because you never find the right problem to solve, right? And so I started to take another view on that, right? If there's already someone that spent time to do that, but is there real problems to solve with this or no, right? For the restaurant business, that I just said to him that I cannot help because it's another thing, another animal to understand. It's another industry. It's really, really hard, right? Like so, yeah. And that's the thing. There's a lot of opportunities right there for everybody here. We have a lot of opportunities to explore.
So thank you, Juno.